Hello everybody, this is XB recording a video about LuckCatchers, which I realize I haven't made one in many months, mainly because I haven't been playing the game, as most of us have not. But I thought I'd jump back in for our 2020 recap of what's changed this year and actually have a pretty cool announcement for the game coming and some really cool information and a lot of positive news, which is rare in this game. So let's dive right into it. All right, so with November fast approaching, LuckCatchers, of course, the little MMO that could, is about to hit its 4-year anniversary. Unless, of course, you count the actual start date of the game, which was around January 2014 in Russia, in which case, happy 6-year or 6.5-year anniversary to LuckCatchers. So for those on my channel who joined from other games, allow me to lay out a quick explanation of what this game actually is, since the chances of you ever having found it on Steam are probably very, very low, if not completely nil. So LuckCatchers is an MMO, or at least that's what it's designed to be, based on the fantastical world of humans and orcs, airships, magic, that sort of thing. In the game, you play as the captain of an airship, kind of like in Eve, you play as the captain of a ship. You kind of are the ship. And later, fleets of airships. So as you start the game, you're limited to a very small noob balloon with limited armaments and a very low flight ceiling. And of course, minimal cargo space. But as you play through the game, you'll work your way into larger ships that you can learn skills to do up to 12 ships. Last I checked, I believe it might be even more now. They might have changed that recently. So not only can you fly an airship, but you can also actually fly fighters, or as they call them, streks. You can also mine, you can fight, you can build. It's got all the makings of a really great MMO. Keyword is makings. All right, so if you're still having trouble visualizing all this, or you're watching this video with your eyes closed, just think of it as EVE Online meets Guns of Icarus, if you've ever played that game, or just Steampunk EVE, except without the massive player base of EVE and completely different free-to-play mechanics. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into the actual meat of the video. And here we go. As I stated before, LuckCatchers is coming up on its 4-year anniversary on Steam and 6 years in Russia. So compared to day one, which is what I'll just call the Steam launch date, since most of us English speakers started on that day, compared to day one, where is the game now? And what about the community, the roadmap, near future plans, stuff like that? So let's go down the list. On day one, LuckCatchers had a single currency, gold. This currency was available to be earned from in-game trading, contracts, or if you don't wish to wait, you could always just pay real money for a whole bunch of it. It became very apparent very quickly that the free-to-play model made absolutely no efforts to hide their pay-to-win ugly side. This wasn't pay for cosmetics or pay for decals. It was pay for in-game currency. So the pay-to-win in the early days was really ugly and turned a lot of people off. So don't let that put you off of it, though, because in the early days, it was actually pretty easy to make gold in-game without spending money if you just had a little bit of patience. The game paid out in gold by the hour as a login reward. Also, contracts, though they were boring, they were very easy to make money on over time. And there was a cool mechanic that randomly spawned crates with vast sums of gold. Some of the old players will remember those, as they were called purple crates. And they were these random crates that would be all over the map, just randomly on the ground. And if you picked them up, you had a chance of having tens of thousands of gold in them. And it definitely kept players very focused because they were constantly looking for these crates. It was a really good way to retain players. So those were somewhat good days in the early days, but then there came a time that I like to think of as the dark times, when the developers removed hourly gold rewards. Then they pulled the random gold crates, and they added this was about a year into it later, this part here, they added a secondary currency called silver. So now players could earn this silver crap through various AI-supported money-earning methods. So same thing, contracts, trading, things like that. They could earn this silver as opposed to originally earning gold, which was the premium currency that everyone could get. In theory, they could trade that silver to gold-owning players in exchange for gold. So players would sell their gold for silver because all players needed silver for some things and gold for other things. That didn't really work because there weren't enough players to have an active exchange market. I honestly never understood the reasoning behind this decision personally, because it just added complexity that was neither desired nor functional. And instead of feeling like they could make it with enough time and effort, free players were now given this extra hurdle and sort of separated out by using the second type of currency. And that turned a lot of people off. And at this point, I mean, the game was already in very low pop. So the choice to add a second currency, in my opinion, added a near-death blow to the remaining player base, which was quite small already. It was under 100 players. Most of the free players, they pretty much jumped ship at that point. No pun intended. I realize we're talking about a ship game. And the only remaining players were either those who had amassed vast sums of gold and knew how to exploit the system for more, such as myself and a few others, or the whales, the ones who didn't care and they just kept throwing money at the developers so they could have more and more gold. And I believe, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of other players, these kind of players were the ones that kept the game afloat. Very few whales who spent a ton of money. And unfortunately, it didn't encourage the developers to be creative and to go out of their way to try new things. So anyway, as I said, these were the dark times of LuckCatchers. So that was about 2017 through 2019. I jumped in every year for a little bit to make an updated tutorial video, peek around, see what had improved, see if things had gotten better, and though there were some minor improvements that did indeed appear over those years, the game was pretty much a ghost of itself, and development was really slow. I honestly don't understand how the game has stayed alive to this point. Again, I don't mean to just hate on the game. It actually is an amazing concept for a game, but I just don't see how they could make any profit on the game based on the number of players who were in it, like 20 players max during a day. And, I mean, just to run a server box is hundreds of dollars a month. So, I don't know. I'm not sure how they do it, but they did it somehow. So, now that the depressing part of this is all over, let's actually talk about some positive news. Let's call it the rebirth of LuckCatchers, or at least the beginnings of a rebirth. Now, mind you, I have no idea what's going on over there since I'm not a developer. I don't think they like me very much over at DIP Online because I've posted negative reviews of this game. I've made other videos like this where I called them out for garbage things that they were doing, and I'm not paid by them, so I have no problem saying it like it is. But anyway, they don't give me any information I have to find out through hearsay. But something over the past year has really lit a fire under them. Like they've really improved. They've done a lot of really cool updates. So let's go through them. And these are off the top of my head. I wrote these down, but I'm sure there's a lot more on top of what I'm about to share. All right, so first item on the list of positive changes are the login rewards. Now, this isn't the same as the hourly gold payouts that I mentioned earlier, but this new login reward system is actually really, really generous. So things like potions, skill speed accelerators, 10-carat defense crystals, and among many other things, these are handed out daily in the game so long as you log in. And I think it really incentivizes people to at least hop in the game. And I mean, it's really generous. The 10-carat crystals, for instance, are very expensive with gold. So I'm hoping the developers don't nerf this system. I really like this cool login thing. Up next is number 2, daily and weekly tasks. This has been around a little bit longer than a year, but I don't know if I mentioned it in my last video. This is another great step towards helping free-to-play players, but also the regulars like myself. Daily and weekly tasks, they pay out in gold, and they offer incentive to play the game and give free players hope. So things like mining, traveling, killing, producing, these can all land you with pretty significant gold rewards. And the cool thing is they scale up to your levels. So a new player won't be stuck with these ridiculous tasks of mining 6 million IMA, which is more or less just crude oil. So they pay out really well. The top tier, maybe I have a screenshot I'll put here on the video, is 1,500 gold for a weekly reward, on top of a bunch of other gold you can earn through other rewards, including dailies. Dailies you can earn up to 600 gold a day, and that's a pretty significant amount of gold. All right, so next, this is another sort of connected one to the past. is called Random Shipwrecks. You might have remember I mentioned the gold loot crates that they got rid of. Well, they kind of brought that system back. Now, instead of crates of gold, they're shipwrecks that are all over the map, and they contain very high-quality items such as fast-firing cannons, high-damage missiles, magic items, and more. All kinds of stuff, resources as well, sometimes very rare resources and ammo. Some of the larger shipwrecks will actually appear on the world map, which has also been improved, by the way, and is a lot more interactive, comparatively. I mean, it's not as great as other games, but at least the map does something now. But they will appear on the world map, and if you find them, you get some really great rewards. But you can also just find them by flying around. I was just flying around randomly and just saw a smoking wreck right next to my castle, picked it up, and got a bunch of cool stuff. Okay, so the next item that's also a great addition, or improvement at least, is making dragons cool again. These guys, they went in and they basically gave dragons a shot of steroids. In the past, dragons were pretty... I mean, they spawned a lot, but it wasn't really a lot. They were never a threat. Now they come in massive numbers of dragons, especially if you blow a dragon horn. I blew one, and I had a negotiator balloon, which has, I think, 6 or 8, I can't remember, 6 or 8 machine gun slots. All of them were manned with the top-tier machine guns, armor-piercing bullets, and I blew one horn, and my ship couldn't stand it. There was so many dragons that attacked me, I had to actually land because it was more than I could handle. So they've turned dragons into a actual threat again in the game, and I think that's going to encourage a lot of guild cooperation, people working together to go from one point to another, because going solo now is going to be a lot more dangerous, at least as a noob. So that's a great addition. All right, next one up, special items. In the past, there was just no variety on engines and weapons. There were just 10-pound cannons and 37-pound cannons. There was SM1, 2, and 3 engines, and that's it. Well, now they have tons and tons of variants on those engines and on the cannons, on the guns, with different efficiency levels, different refire rates, things like that. Stuff that we've been asking for a long time, since day one. Everyone complained that it was extremely generic. So it looks like they finally went in and they've started adding some variety. And you can either loot these high-tier cannons and high-tier items, or you can construct them yourselves. Okay, so last one on my list is modules. Like I was just saying, there's a lack of diversity in the game. Like, every ship has a single meta build. You build it one way, that's the best way, there is no other way to build it. Well, now they've added in modules, and this is a huge thing for you X-Eve players. So there's this thing called the Engineering Bureau, which you build in your castle, and with that you can make these modules which will enhance your ship. For example, they'll give you additional cargo space, but your ship will be slower. Or they'll give you a higher ship speed, but your agility will be much lower. Things like that. So now you can more customize your ships to what you want them to do. Let's say you have a prospector, which is a mining ship, and you just want a ton of cargo space. You don't care how slow it is. You can drop one of those modules on, and now your ship has something like 40% more cargo space. You can go out mining for 10 million timber among a couple of your ships. So I think that's pretty cool. That's actually one of my favorite additions, and I think one of the best things they've done in the past year. Now, I'm sure I'm missing things because I only recently returned just to check up on the game, but these are the most visible changes that I've personally experienced. Also, there's these ground-to-air missiles that they've added in, which have even longer range, so that it's harder for players to exploit things like mountains and hills and hide behind them and attack your base. So that's another really cool addition. Now attacking an armed castle is a risk, and you better be prepared for a fight. Let's see, what am I missing? One other quick mention, this one is a little older than a year, but achievements, which also pay out in gold, as well as potions and items. Achievements are kill X number of dragons, you kill that number, and then next it'll say, now kill even more dragons, and then so on and so forth. They scale up infinitely. So you can say the first achievement is, I think, kill 10 dragons. The next one's kill 100. Next one's 1,000. And right now I'm on something like 500,000 dragons. So it scales up and it pays out a ton of gold. So those achievements help a lot. Those are available to everyone, free or pay players. So great addition there. Okay, so now that I've gotten through all the positive changes, I want to go through some things that I would like to see changed. But I mean, like I said, I have no control over this. Maybe this stuff will never happen, but this is sort of the consensus I've gotten from talking to other LuckCatchers players who either don't play anymore or are waiting for change. Number one item is silver. They need to get rid of silver. I think it was a stupid addition. It added complexity that didn't need to be there, and it makes free-to-play players feel separate from the rest of the player base. And it's pointless. It just makes it so you have to try to find a good exchange rate, which there never are, because the gold players have no need for silver. They can earn their own silver easily with their gold ships. So anyway, get rid of that garbage system. I really hope they go away eventually. Up next is ship speed. I think that ships should be doubled in speed. I do enjoy the relaxed feeling of flying over this giant world map, but if it takes 4 hours to get from one side to the other in a cargo ship, you got to ask yourself, at which point is it too much? And I feel like that's too much. I would really like them to increase that. Up next is item costs. So 10 karat crystals, once upon a time, they costed 10 gold apiece, and they would protect your ship for 1,000,000 points of damage. Now they're 150 gold, so they've had a 15 times increase in cost. And the only people who can afford them are the people who buy gold or who make a ton of gold through their own methods. So 10 karat crystals, which are very important to protect your ship, are now basically unavailable to free players by the way they've priced them. And the players with money, they don't want to spend money on it either, because 150 per crystal when you can fit 5 on a ship, that's a ton of freaking money. That's 750, 700, something like that. Okay, so up next, lack of customization. I know I just said that they've added a lot of customization, which is great. I'm referring to visual customization. I'd love to be able to see changes to your ship color, be able to put your own guild decal on the ship or your own personal decal on the ship, things like that. And you can make those available for premium currency. Use the Warframe pay-to-win model, where you don't actually pay to win. You just pay for visual upgrades and for cool things to show off to your friends, but not things that make it so that you have an advantage over other people. Up next is taxes and logistics. Back in the early days, taxes were based on how much was gathered in the territory of the citadel that you owned. So if your guild owned a citadel for a big chunk of territory, the only way to earn taxes was based on how many people were extracting things through their settlements. Well, nobody uses settlements anymore to extract items. They use ships. So I'd love to see them add that 0.5% tax system in or something based off of what you're actually mining from the ship. I know taxes suck, but it would be a good way to encourage guilds to start doing territory wars again and trying to take each other's citadels. Because right now, the citadels that are there, they've been owned by the same people for years and years. Some of them have been owned for 6 years by the same guy who doesn't even play the game anymore because no one cares to grab them. They're kind of pointless. So I'd love to see that brought back, maybe like a train system so that you could transport goods between your bases without using an airship, something like that. So those are my biggest, I don't want to say complaints, but my biggest hopefuls on what they're going to change in the game. But the thing I wanted to talk about here at the end is a rumor that is a very strong rumor, and it comes from a pretty reliable source. I won't say who because I don't want to give away their name, but I have it on very good authority that they're actually going to be completely wiping and resetting LuckCatchers sometime in October. I don't know if it's October 1st, if it's October 31st. I really don't know, but I know that that's when the reset is supposedly coming. I asked this person to verify, and they said, yes, it's happening in October, but they wouldn't tell me the specific date. I do know that the developers will announce when they have a set date, but I can tell you that there's a very strong rumor that the game will be completely wiped and started fresh. Now, I'll try to explain what this means. If you have gold on your character already, if you've already been playing the game in the past and maybe you have a bunch of gold saved up, you get to keep that gold with the reset. If you have any settlements that are laid down, at least as far as I understand it, you will get refunded the full value of that settlement in gold when the reset happens. So let's say you have two castles down, they're worth 80,000 apiece. You're going to get 160,000 back for those. So I don't know about licenses that might be in your inventory that costed gold, or other items that costed gold, or if you're getting all the gold you've ever spent in the game back. I don't know that, but I do know you're getting back at least what's in your current wallet, which is why I've been playing and trying to collect up as much gold as I can before the reset. Now, let's talk about how this has been received, because there are other players that are aware of this reset. Among the veteran group, among the people who've played the game for a long time, there seems to be a lot of resentment and anger. They're mad that all their progress is getting wiped out, and it's understandable, but on the other side, the players like me who came in 2 years into the game when it finally hit Steam, we were at a major disadvantage. I mean, the Russians had 2 years to build up before the rest of the world did. And when we jumped in the game, we were super outclassed. We were getting our butts kicked in every PvP because these guys had spent years preparing for battle. And when we came in, we were just fodder. We were just getting absolutely wrecked. So I personally think this wipe should have happened 4 years ago. But I am happy that it's happening now rather than never. And I'm actually really looking forward to this wipe. I'm hoping a lot of players will return after it, since everyone will be a noob again and we'll all be on the same even ground and have equal chances. So that's the big announcement at the end of the video here, is there is a semi-confirmed wipe coming to the game. The rumor is that it's in October. It's a strong rumor from a very reliable source, but don't count on DIP Online to give you any information until the last second, because they have a pretty bad track record of not communicating with their players. Trust me, they have not improved on this at all in the past 4 years. So anyway, that's it for this video. I've talked enough here, and if you have any questions, you can either hit me up on Steam, it's XB Walker, you can just find my profile and add me, or you can ask me questions here on the video. Thanks a lot.